I see one person there. I'm still in the setting up phase. Getting things in the right place if you're there. Okay, we still have 5 minutes. I need a little sign that says stand by. Oh, I see 3 are watching. I like to have my, there we are. I like to use my computer for reading comments, and I like to let the phone be the camera. It works out better that way. Let's see. Let's see if I left any clutter in a bad place. Let's see, what is, I see, oh, that's my computer. Okay. I'm still getting situated. For watching. Hello, everybody. Let's see. I want to make sure everyone can see. This is just a test for me to see what you see. And there's a delay. I'm still waiting to see it. Okay. Oh, cool. Okay. I'm just taking a minute to think, make sure I have everything I need. Oh, I was going to try to share, let me see if I can share the link to the mailing list. Wow, I'm still going to be on time, I think. I haven't figured out how to make my phone be a camera and also have a link to share until I actually go live. So that's something I'm going to have to learn. oops, I did that wrong. Oops, I'm a minute late, sorry. Okay, something odd happened here. Well, if this doesn't happen quickly, then I just won't share the link. Try one more time. Okay, the folks that want. So hi everybody. Let me go back and see. Well, we have. Okay, I see there's 6 of you. Okay, so let me show you again. Let's see. I'm pausing to think if you don't have the PDFs, if you'll still, I think if you don't have the PDFs, you'll still learn something. It's nice if you have them though. Even if you don't have this one, if you have this one would be really great. And then we may or may not get around to the forum. Something really cool happens though if we get through the forum. And then I like you to have a visual aid to look at to figure out, to like double check. What we're going to do is take the blank 3M and we're going to write each major scale. We're going to start with C. And then we're going to look at our references to see what this space represents as a whole step. There actually is a note there. Like if this was a C, this would be C sharp. This would be a D, and you could also call the note between it D flat. But right here, there's, well, from the first note to the second note, there's a whole step. Second note to third note, whole step. And then the fourth note is just a half step. And I like it to be shown that way. So what we're going to do is make our scales, and then we're going to double check to see if we have the whole steps and the half steps in the right place. We should just do it instead of explaining it. But that's why we want one of these. Something to look at to decide if there's whole steps or not. So let's just start with key of C, and we'll use all 3 references so you'll see how they work, and then you can choose which one works best for you. It really makes a big difference. For some people, for me, I had some experience with the keyboard, so seeing the half steps and whole steps on the keyboard, it was easier for me to learn music theory on the keyboard than guitar. It's easier for me to see where the half steps and whole steps are. But I was surprised when some of my guitar students really, like, there's something about it that just didn't click right away with the keyboard. And I can see why. And I think you'll see why too when I show you the other references. So let's just look at this. Oops. And right here under the number 1, we're going to write the letter C and then write the alphabet, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. Let me double check. I forgot to watch for questions. Okay. Let's see. I'm assuming the questions, I just went to full screen, and I'm wondering if I'm going to see any comments or questions. But I'll find out. But if I miss a question, I'll catch it before too long. C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. So let's look at one of our references and see if these actual notes have whole steps between them and half steps right there. So let's just check C and D and E and make sure there's, let's look at, this is the most clear one, I think. Okay, so right here we have, I'm still trying to figure out how to do this without the glare bothering me. Okay. Oh, okay. Took me a while to see what's going on here. Okay, we're going to start with C. So C to D is a whole step. D to E is a whole step. And we'll see right here, E to F is a half step. Let's see if that goes along with what we have here. I'm sorry, I'm still getting oriented to, I don't remember having this problem with glare before. Okay, E to F is a half step. And let's go look at the other chart and see, okay, then we have whole step, whole step, whole step, and the half step between B and C. Let's double check on this chart right here. So then we have whole step, and then we have a half step between B and C. So by checking on this chart, we can see that this is correct. In the key of C, we don't have to have any sharps or flats. And let me double check for questions. I'd like to do one or two more before I do questions, unless there's something seriously. Hi, I don't see any questions yet, but here is my comment to let you know. Oh, thank you. Everything's working. Thank you. Okay. I think I'll just revolve through the other references as we go. So let's go ahead. Excuse me. I want you to notice that the next scale that we do is not a random choice. I want you to look at the fifth note in the C major scale. So there's the first note, second, third, fourth, and fifth. Towards the end, if I forget, ask me why the Roman numerals are capital and lowercase. Here's the fifth note, G. So that's the one we want to do next. You'll see why after we're done. So let's put G here. And then this is the cool thing that I didn't realize until I got into music school. Whenever you're writing a scale, always write the alphabet. It's going to be G, A, B, C, D, E, F, G. And the only thing that we might have to correct is sharps and flats. But it always goes like the alphabet. So you're always safe with that. So G, A, B, C, D, E, F, G. And now we want to check it and make sure we have a whole step here and here, and a half step here, and a whole step here and here and here, and then a half step here. So let's look at the keyboard this time. In case you like the keyboard. I'm just thinking, I'm hesitating because, you know what? I'm going to stick with this one for now. And if anybody has a burning desire to look at the half steps and whole steps on the keyboard or the guitar neck reference, let me know. But it's just dawning on me now. This is pretty clear. And so we're doing key of G. So let's see. Let me find the G. Okay. G, A, B. So we see our first three notes have whole steps between them. And then the third and fourth note do have a half step. And then to the fifth note, that's a whole step. The sixth note is a whole step. But right here, between the sixth and seventh note, we want a whole step. And it's not a whole step. And between, right before the last note of our scale, we want a half step. We want this note here. And so instead of playing an instead of playing an F, we would play an F sharp. So what we need to do, and I should say sharp means that you raise the note a half step. So if we make F sharp, that means we're playing this note in between F and G. What that means is right here on our F, we need to put a sharp sign right there. And I wanted you to hear it too, and I'm going to, I knew I forgot something. I'll have to grab another piece of equipment. I'm hoping I have all the pieces handy. I think, let's see, nope. I should have practiced this. Yeah, I'm gonna need to get the little hose. Let's see. Sorry, bear with me. Oh man, it's really buried too. It'll be worth it. It's a miracle that I even remembered where they are. And for those of you not familiar with the keyboard, I want to write the letters on it. That's enough for now. So what I wanted you to be able to see, ooh, I like this, is on the keyboard, from here to here is a half step. Every single note, let me just play them for a little bit. When I play every single note in order, those are all half steps. When I go from C to D, oh, we stopped working. Oh. It doesn't work unless you press the key. That's a whole step. Whole step. Half step. Those were whole and half. Now let's play G. So right there between 3 and 4, we had our half step, and that sounded right. So that one probably sounded a little funny to you. And that's where we were looking at the other visual aid, seeing that from our 6th note to our 7th note, we need a whole step, not a half step. And from our 7th note to our 8th note, we need a half step, not a whole step. So the way we do that, make F sharp, and let me play it again with the whole step where it belongs. Okay, I'm going to look and see if there's any questions. Hello, Todd. Yeah, yeah, we make the F sharp. Every 7th is the order of sharps. If I understand your question correctly, yeah, and that's one of the patterns that emerges when we do this. Let's go ahead and go to the next scale. So we're going to take, in the G major scale, we're going to take the 5th note, which is D. And then put a D here and write just like the alphabet, D, A, B, C, and on up. Hi, John. Oh, great. D, E, F, G, A, B, C, D. If you just got here, we talked about how when you write a scale, whatever scale it is, you start with that letter, and it's always safe to just go through the alphabet until you get back to that letter. And now let's check and see if our half steps and whole steps are in the same place, or in the correct place. Let me know if you'd rather see this on the guitar. I'm thinking keyboard unless it's confusing somebody. So, but this is easy to see what note I'm playing and if it sounds right or not. So let's play 1, 2, 3, 4 and see if it sounds right. Now I'm going to play the whole thing. Let you see what the whole thing sounds like with no sharps. It might not sound bad, but it's not wrong. It's just not a D major scale. So let's look for, we want whole steps. When I'm talking, you can always, actually this is a nice way to see where the whole steps and half steps belong. So our first 3 notes, we want whole steps, and then we want a half step between 3 and 4, between F and G. We can see that's a whole step because there's something in between. E to F, there's nothing in between, so that is a half step, and we need to have a whole step, so we're going to make F sharp. Now, well, a similar situation to what we had before. We need, oh, this is a pretty good pointer. From our 6th to 7th note, we need a whole step, and 7th to 8th note, we need a half step, so the C becomes sharp. Oh, and we said the F was sharp too, right? So now we have F sharp and C sharp. Hi, Thomas. Okay, now I'm going to ask you a question. So what scale are we going to do next? We want to start our next scale, whatever scale we did last, the 5th note in that scale, that's the one we want to start with. Oh, sure. I saw another question come up, but I can't read it yet. See if I can hold that there. There's a delay, so it's kind of hard for me to tell sometimes exactly what you're saying. There we go. Yep, that's correct. A. So what we're going to do is write A right here. And if you're just joining us, it's like the alphabet. A, B, C, D, E, F, G, A. Now let's check. Let's check and see if we have our half steps and whole steps in the right place. Let me complete the alphabet here. Okay, A. First, I'll just play with no sharps or flats. So, doesn't sound bad, it's not wrong, but it's not an A major scale. Let's go through again, keeping in mind that we just want to, when we get to the third note, the next note needs to be a half step. We need a whole step. Okay, so C sharp. And we're not ready for a half step. We need this to be whole, right? Start again. It really has to be in your ears, you know, for it to make sense. So I'm gonna start over. Whoops, sorry. And do we want to play this one or this one? G or G sharp? That's right, G sharp. Okay, now let me read. Hi, James. Oh, thank you. I was wondering about that. I don't know if you saw James's comment. I'm not sure if you intended this to be a little off topic or if you're asking me to show the scale on the guitar, but I really should show you on the guitar. Definitely. The guitar is really the best instrument. Well, any fretted instrument is the best instrument for seeing the shape of a major scale or a minor scale or whatever. But James, your comment about seeing my fingers better, originally I record the way I do because I focus on content. And I feel like at this point I don't have time to learn. I'm not a technophile, so I don't want to buy all the cameras that go this way and that. And you know, I have to reduce my screen time. So I just turn the angle, and I watch when I'm recording. I watch to see what you're seeing, and I've been wondering lately if that does make it easier to see because you see it from multiple angles. So let me know if that's what you meant, or if you just wanted me to use guitar instead of, what is this thing called? Harmonium? I forget. Let me, my guitar's in the other room. I'll be right back. We were practicing this morning in the other room. But by the way, we have a concert. If you're in the area in Texas, oh gosh, what is the name of the town? It's east of Austin, and it's June 13th. I want to say like Elgin or somewhere just east of Austin, but you might, if you're close enough to come, just put June 13th. I think it's in the afternoon, but I'll send more details out later. Yeah, whole step from the sharp. Oh, okay. Thank you, James. Oh, no problem. I like just having a conversation, like if we were just hanging out. But I do want to show the next one on guitar. Okay, so before we do the next one, has anybody noticed a pattern? Like, oh, I forgot to write my sharps for key of A. So in key of A, everyone should have C sharp. Where is it? C sharp, and you should have F sharp, and it's hard to see, G sharp for key of A. And some people just say key of A, 3 sharps. Okay, thanks, Margaret. Okay, so before we do the next one, has anybody noticed a pattern? Like, let's go ahead and write. Our next one will be the fifth note of the A scale, which is E. So write E and just write your alphabet. Don't write any sharps yet. E, F, G, A, B, C, D, and E. Has anybody noticed a pattern that could help us decide what notes get sharps in the key of E? Other than, looking at our references, has anyone noticed a pattern that might help us here? Yes, George. Adding a sharp each time. And have you noticed where we add the sharp each time? Is it always in the same place? Key of A, now G sharp to the next octave A is only, yeah. And when you stop and think about it, that makes sense because, well, in our ears, when we hear that last note, what? That's one of the easier things to hear in music if you're ever sort of trying to find a scale or, learn a scale without looking at a reference. It's like, okay, I know that second to the last note is going to be right next door to the eighth note. Same slots, third and last. Let me see. Yeah, that's right. So let me, what I was getting at was, okay, we had no sharps. And then when we go, and this is because, this pattern is happening because we're using the fifth note of that scale. And when we do that, we add one sharp. The seventh note gets a sharp. And then what I want you to notice is that when we take the 5 of this scale and go to that scale, we keep the F sharp. So whatever you added, you're going to keep it. And then you just add one here on the 7th note. Again, we take the 5th note, put it here. So, and you can just check up here, okay, in the key of D, I had F sharp and C sharp, so I'm going to keep a C sharp and F sharp, add G sharp. So let's do it that way this time. All these sharps, we're going to keep C sharp, F sharp, and G sharp we're keeping. So let's fill those in and then add the one on the D. So F, G, D. I'm just going to pause and wait to see if any questions come through. Is there anyone watching who is not a guitarist? Anybody who's playing, if you're playing something other than guitar, maybe let me know what it is. I'm going to experiment with what I'm seeing here for a minute. I think what I'm learning is that what I'm trying to figure out is if I go to full screen, if I'm going to see your comments, and I don't think so. Yeah, it's in, huh. There's something covering up. Todd McDaniel said it's, oh, there it goes. Okay, it's an A. Oh, wow, lots of comments. I'm just checking to see if I didn't miss a lot came through just then, and I had to scroll down. I didn't know they were there. Oh, wait a minute. No, it jumped up on me. Same slots, third and, okay. Yes. This is related to Circle of Bits. I used to, what I want to do is get into chord spellings, but I think since this is going along at a pretty good clip, what I would like to do, well, actually, yeah, let's go, yeah, let's do kind of a fast track. You may or may not have what this is the same thing as this. I just call this the 3M because it's more basic. If you're playing guitar, this is all you need for a long, long time. And if you master this, you can learn the other part on your own, I think, fairly readily. So let's just kind of do a fast track to get through the 4M. It actually, if we were to take the 5th note here, B, then we would be, hang on, I have to resituate. But then I also want to talk about what we can do with the 3M. But I want you to see something though. Okay, B. If we took B, and we're not going to write this. I want to do this kind of fast. Start with the key B, alphabet, B, C, D, E, F, G, A, B. Keep all the same sharps that we had there, and then add one there. This is where it gets a little wonky, and I think if this is troubling you, it would be good to have a more in-depth workshop on that. It seems like in music theory, there's always questions, and if we answer all of them thoroughly and completely, very quickly can become system overload. So this one, we might want to just trust if it's blowing your mind. But let's talk about what we have here is the 5th note is F sharp. And what this shows, might be a little blurry, F sharp is the same as G flat. Let me show that. And this applies to lots and lots of notes, but I just want to show it at least once. Okay, F sharp is the same note as G flat. Flat means, when I say G flat, that means a half step lower than G. When I say F sharp, it means a half step higher. So that's F sharp, and it's also G flat. And that goes for all these notes on this scale. In this key, they all have potentially 2 names. And then what we do, because it just works out well this way, we switch to using flats instead of sharps. So the 5th note right here is going to be D flat. And that's why we go next to D flat. I'm going to pause and see if I lost anybody completely. So what we would be looking at when we write D flat scale is the flats here. And the weird thing that happens now that we're using flats instead of sharps, remember how up here, each time we went to a new key, we raised the 7th note? We still raise the 7th note. So instead of a C flat, we have C. We raise the 7th note. It might be a little mind-blowing. I'm going to pause and make sure that's okay with everybody. Okay. Okay, let's finish this story. And if I do lose anybody in here, don't worry about it. This really, like I said, if you're a guitarist, being able to use this is really all you need for a long, long time, maybe forever. If you start to need this, it'll be because you're playing with other musicians or composing or reading music or something. So what we do, we take the fifth note to start our new scale, which is A flat, and all the flats stay the same except we raise the seventh note, so the G flat goes away. So what we're doing is, instead of adding sharps, we're removing flats. And it goes on in similar fashion until down here, what we have is key of F, and we have one flat. And just imagine a little, let's extrapolate into the future. Fifth note is C, and when we write the C scale, C is going to be here, right? And we're going to raise that flat, and we're going to have no sharps and flats again. So let's turn this, get a good spot here, into a circle. You could, if you have yours, you can do this. Okay, so now it's a little hard for me to point, but you can see the F scale and then the C scale. And you can see that you took the fifth note and started with C, and you raised the seventh. No B flat anymore, and we're back where we started. Isn't that cool? That's the circle of fifths right there. One affected. Okay. Okay, let me just take this opportunity to ask questions. I'm just going to pause and think about what I said I was going to do. Guitar. Oh. Okay, I said I wanted to show, well, one thing I want to do is just talk about some things that this chart is helpful for, and including chord spellings. If you're in the Become a Natural class, we haven't really we've alluded to chord spellings, but we haven't really spent time. It's weird when I look over there and see myself. I'm looking at my computer and there's a delay, so it's like I see what happened a second ago. Ah, yay, aha, I love that. I love the aha moments. I had aha moments when I was making these things. I made them, 4 or 5 years ago. I'll think if I had any other ahas. Anyway, chord spellings, we'll get into that. But let me show you the shape. Let's talk a little bit about the shape of a scale on guitar. This is why, let me play it. I'm going to play maybe here on the second string, because this is a C, and you may, if you're familiar with some of the natural notes, that may be one you're familiar with. So we have C, C, D, E. You can see those are whole steps. Here's the first note, second note, third note, fourth note. Looks kind of like the chart, third and fourth right next to each other. And so we can see it kind of like this. The cool thing about guitar, let's just look at C. Let's see if we can cover that up. There's the shape of a major scale. That is the shape of every major scale. So no matter where I start, if I go whole step, half step, whole, half, then, or pretty soon if you play with these scales, you'll start to know, okay, I just played my third note, it's time for a half step. So let's do it that way. 1. Oh, I can't sing this key very well. 1, 2, 3, half step. 4, 5, 6, 7. So if we were ever just trying to figure that scale out, and actually figuring out the scale is kind of like figuring out a song, only the song, they're not all in a row, but some of the same skills apply. 1, 2, 3, 4. Whenever you're on 3, you know 4 is right next door. And if we just had a half step, there's not going to be a half step again right away, so we know that's a whole step. That's a whole step. And then when we get toward the end of the scale, we know that that last note has to be really close to the end. Now, let's apply this to playing the guitar. I still haven't heard any comments from anyone who's not a guitarist. So we have 1, 2, 3. That we're going to call that a mini scale. A major mini. 1, 2, 3. And what I want you to see is that a major scale is 2 of those. 1, 2, 3, and then another major mini. And then we're almost done. And the reason I like that, I'm going to pause in a minute, see if I've lost anybody. If we were to start here and play 1, 2, 3 a different way, C, D, E. Let's look at, this is the chart of, this applies to all music, not just guitar. C, D, E is the beginning of a C major scale, whole step, whole step. Whenever we get to our third note, we know there's a half step. And remember what I just said about a major scale is 2 major minis. So major mini, 1, 2, 3, and then another 1, 2, 3. Let's look at that on guitar. So major mini, C, open, 4th string, D, E. That's my third note. So I know my next note is right here, 4. And I can play that same pattern to get another major mini. Let me do that again to reinforce it. So this pattern that I'm playing, open 4th string, is a major mini, half step to the next major mini, same pattern, open 3rd string. So this is kind of like, I'm going to compare this to major mini, half step, another major mini, and then a whole step, and then the last note. So 2, 3, that was a major mini, half step, 1, 2, 3, another major mini, and then we know we need a whole step. If we don't know, you might know that from here to here, B string is a whole step, but you could always go. You could always go up like that. So I guess my point, even if you can't like do that yet, if that was a little, I want you to know that being familiar with where the half steps and whole steps are, and how you can play things more than one way on guitar. I guess what I really like is seeing the shape of the scale and then being able to play that too. And it helps you to understand the shape of a scale when you're not staying on the same string. I think that's what I was trying to say. Let me see if we had any questions. Okay. And then this is similar to what I was just showing. So what I basically did, well, let's see. No, let's wait on that. I wanted to tell you more about what we can do with the 3M. I'm really big, you may have noticed, I'm really big on transposing. I guess I'll try to tell you the short story because I do have a public video about why you want to learn to transpose. a few situations. You're learning, maybe you play and sing, or you're playing for somebody you're playing the guitar and they're going to sing, or you're playing guitar for a group of people who are singing, and the song is too high and they can't hit the high notes, or the song is too low and they can't hit the low notes. When you transpose, then it puts the song in a key where you can put the song in any key you want to make it work well for your voice or for whoever's doing the singing. Sometimes if you're playing with another instrument, the key you want to play in might be difficult for them. And on some instruments, certain keys are difficult. On the guitar, you can make any key easy. So knowing how to transpose, you can accommodate someone who wants to play in a different key. Let's see. Transposing. Okay, here's a really big deal. It's not just about being able to transpose. If you can transpose a song, then you come to, the more experience you have with transposing, you come to understand the relationships and how they work, how the 5 chord usually goes to the 1 chord, or often, you'll have a 2 chord and then a 5 chord and then a 1 chord. Once you get used to 1-4-5 songs, meaning a song with the 1 chord, the 4 chord, the 5 chord, sometimes you hear another chord and it seems like a simple song, and boy, that chord sounds really different. It's not 1 or 4 or 5. That might be a 2 and then a 5. But the way you learn these things is by learning songs and transposing them. And so when you're able to transpose the song, then you're able to understand the song. And one of y'all is 1/6. Let me. I have to hear it to know. 1-6-2-5. I believe so. Let's see. 1, if I'm in the key of G, 6 would be E minor. 2 would be A. Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I want to be careful about playing cover songs. A ton of songs have that. Let's see. Do I have a... I think that is the song. I have an original song. She parked by the curb. She locked her car. I turn around. There you are, big smile. And then it changes from that pattern. But very common. 1-6-2-5. Yeah, and then when you've learned, if you look that up, you'll find several songs with 1-6-2-5, and you learn several of those, and then you learn to recognize that when somebody's playing another song, and your friend could say, well, this is just 1-6-2-5, and you'd be able to follow along even though you haven't heard the song, even though you're not looking at a chart. But what I wanted to finish saying is that if you transpose a song into multiple keys, you'll remember how it goes. That's a lot different than if you're looking at a chart and, say you have lyrics and you have chords above the words. There's a point in the beginning where, like, for a long time, it just all seems random. Somebody told me it's time to play G, so I play G. And this chart tells me it's time to play C, so I play C. But if you transpose your songs several times, you start to understand the structure of the song and how the different chords work together. You gradually, it reinforces hearing what, like, say, a 1-4 chord change sounds like compared to a 1-5. And I really think transposing, it just, it makes you a better musician. It makes it easier to remember your songs, how they go, and understand the sounds compared to what you're playing, how those relationships give you the same sound even though it's in a different key. And that helps you to figure a song out on your own. Like a song gets in your head, it's like, oh, I wonder how, if I can figure out how that goes, and you do. Or play along by ear. And if you want to play lead and improvise, it becomes really important. Hello from Canada. Hi, Todd. Okay, let me pause and think again. We're getting close to an hour. If there's any other questions, ask, because we're going to wrap up pretty soon. So I would say, like, if you only do one thing with this, take something you know how to play, or even make up a really simple song. Like in the Become a Natural program, we've just been playing 1, 4, 1, 5. You could take any chord progression and play it through all these keys, and you might want to highlight 1, 4, 5. And so whatever key you're in, say you're in the key of C and you're playing C, where did I go? Oh, C, F, C, G. Then in a different key, you'd be playing G, C, G, D. Or indeed, be playing D, C, D, A. Just whatever. Okay. I'm glad I thought of this. If going beyond like the 1, 4, 5 chords, if you have a song that has like E minor, F sharp minor 7, or something like that, like say we're in the key of C, and the song has, okay, by the way, this means major, and then this means minor. What this means is that usually, if you're playing a song in a major key, usually the 1 is major and the 4 and the 5. Usually the 2 and the 3 and the 6 are minor. Not always, but usually. So if you're in the key of C and you have a song that has, say, A minor 7, this still applies for the letter. So I'm playing a song in the key of C and the chord is A minor 7. And I'm transposing to the key of G. The new chord in that spot is going to be E minor 7. So this will tell you how to change the letter. Everything after the letter stays there. So no matter how crazy it is, like if it's G major 7, or if it's like, what else do we have? Things with ninths and seconds and fifths. Anything after the letter stays, and then you just use this to change the letter. A lead-in with a pause is the exception. Let me see. Is the opening or first chord in a song? Oh, right. It's not always. Usually, like if you're talking about simple folk songs or most hymns, something. Let me think of one that's. Happy Birthday is now public domain. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. My first chord is the G chord, which is the key that I'm in. But yeah, a lot of nice music doesn't, so it can trick you. If the song doesn't start on the chord that is the key that it's in, usually it ends on the chord. But sometimes not. Like all these rules get broken eventually. But you'll see, like if you're playing real familiar, I'm actually a little afraid to say the names of cover songs now because they've been slapping commercials on my videos. So I guess the answer to that question is like most of the time, the key that you're in is the first chord and the last chord, but not always. Yeah, so if you just go through the song, okay, let's say, yeah, let's talk a little bit more about that. That's a really good situation. Another thing this is good for is if you're trying to figure a song out or write a song. If you're in the key of C, this tells you what chords are going to be useful to you. A song in the key of C is likely to use these chords. So say if you're writing a song or if you're figuring out how a song goes and it's in the key of C, try these first. C, I would try C and F and G first, and then try the minor chords. And if you hear something like way out, like a chord that, whoa, that was a real special sounding chord, sometimes it's either the 3 or the 6, but major. So, okay, I was going somewhere with the idea that, okay, say you're working with a song and it's tricky to figure out what key it's in. And we're starting to think, well, maybe it's not, it might be minor, or it might be that it might be in C, key of C, but it just, it's not starting with the C chord. So what you can do is just play through, like if you, you already know what the chords are, is what I'm trying to say, and you're trying to figure out what key it's in. Then, like, if you see the chords go, you know, using the F and the G and the C a lot, that would be kind of a tip-off that you're in the key of C, is just that these are the chords that are being used. I think I said that in a long way. Let's see, what else was I going to say? Let me check for... Ending note of song seems to often... Yeah, the ending note of song often is the note that is the key that you're in. Most often it ends in the same note. Yeah, whole and completed. Oh, I see, what affected is your name. When I saw your first comment with a thumbs up, I thought you were telling me that you had been affected by the lesson. Very egocentric interpretation. Let's see. Okay. So we talked about transposing. We talked about how this can tip you off to what chords you might want to use. Or if you want to just make up a song, if you want to practice, oh, here's a good one. If you want to practice the chords that are difficult for you, you know, pick the chord that's difficult for you. Let me see one that, I don't know. It's different for everybody. But you could just actually, for practicing chords, just going back and forth from 1 to 2 in any key, it sounds really nice. Let's see. If you wanted to compose a song, you could just pick a key and just experiment with these chords, and they'll sound nice together. The other thing I wanted to mention, and we're running out of time, but I said I was going to talk about chord spellings. I just mentioned it really quick. I don't have time to explain why you want to know how to spell your chords, but like if you want to know what notes are in a C chord, you just take the first note, the third note, and the fifth note. C, E, and G are the notes that make a C chord. And if you want a G chord, G, B, and D are the notes that make a G chord. I want to say something really quick, and then I'll let you go. So, for example, we talked about G chord is G, B, and D. G, that's a G note, that's a B note. Open fourth string is a D. G, B, D. And here we have G, and then we have a B, and we have another G. Remember G, B, D? This is a D note right here. That's why sometimes G chord, you can play that D or not. So if we have handy chord shapes to tell us where to put our fingers, why do we need to know what the names of the notes are? There's lots of reasons why. One of the biggest ones is that there's just 6 chords. If you memorize the spellings of these 5 keys plus the key of the chord F, so you memorize C, E, G, you memorize G, B, D, and so on through the F chord, F, A, C. If you know what that 1, 3, 5 is, then when you start traveling around the neck more, like for example, say I don't know my notes up in here, but say I know that this is an A note, and say if I know that this shape gives me an A chord, then I know that this is A, C sharp, and E. The guitar, if I just have those 6 chords memorized, there's only 6, and they'll help you find your way around everywhere. But there's times when knowing the name, the chord spelling, can help you figure out, oh, that's a C sharp. And it helps you find your way around. What else do we want chord spellings for? Oh, I knew there was one more thing I wanted to say, and that if that's intriguing or sounds helpful to you, I have a series called, it's public posts. It's the gateway chords. Go into that. People who are beyond beginner really like that. Sometimes for beginners, that one is I got one of the few angry comments was from somebody who hated it because it was like made no sense whatsoever. But it is definitely beyond beginner. I'm sorry to laugh. That's not nice. Okay. Okay. Well, I'm gonna let you go. Let's see. I don't think I have anything else to say. If you want to be on my email list, that's where I'll make, you'll get information about future workshops and that sort of thing. And I'll put my website in the description underneath this video, and you can sign up for my email list there if you want to access other PDFs that go with other lessons. And you're welcome. Oh, I see a question, I think. Ooh, okay. This keeps jumping. Do your left-hand fingers ever hurt? Where do they hurt? Like, do they hurt here, or do they hurt in a joint, or in here? You're welcome. Thanks, everybody. I'm gonna hang on here for James. Oh, tips, like it hurts from pressing the string, is that right? You're welcome. Just go ahead and answer. I think James, I'm just gonna answer this question and then sign off. Okay, yes. When you're new at it, or say like if I didn't play for a month or two, they would probably hurt. And what I think the best thing to do is just play often. Play until they hurt and then stop, even if it's just 3 to 5 minutes. Play until they hurt and then stop. And then later in the day, play until they hurt again and then stop. At that stage, it's good to practice often for short periods of time. If it continues to be a problem, you can get softer strings. If you're playing on medium strings, I would say definitely get light strings. I play with lighter than light. They're actually called silk and steel. They're just a little bit lighter than regular light strings. You can also play a guitar that has nylon strings, and that's softer and easier on your fingers, and it will break your fingers in to where they'll build up calluses, and then you could play the steel strings without as much trouble. But playing often helps a lot. Okay, let's see. Thank you. This was fun. I enjoy it too. Medium steel. Well, it just depends on how much you want to hang in there with the mediums. You'll still get there, I think, as long as the medium. Also, medium is not good if you have any trouble with other injuries. Like I never play with medium. Well, briefly with friends, but not regularly. Because of the injury I had years ago, because it's just more taxing. So make sure that the rest of your body is okay with the medium strings, and still your fingers will toughen up. My stepson recently learned to play guitar, and he started with medium strings, and they'll toughen up eventually. If you do change to light strings, it may change the action on your guitar, and you might have to have the action adjusted, or your strings might buzz or something like that. No, at some point, yeah. it is not always, that's true. It's gonna not, they get really tough and then it doesn't hurt anymore. Okay, you can also, any further questions, you can comment on, the video will still be posted, and I don't think, all the comments we saw just now seem to go away, unless I'm missing something. But you could still comment on this video, and we could follow up with questions later. Thanks for being here. It's been fun. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.